Today we're taking a look at Yukikaze Mizuki from the second X Hentai action figure line from Taimanin Yukikaze 2. Taimanin Yukikaze 2 is, the Yukikaze series is a spin-off of the main Asagi series, where the main character, or at least one of the main characters, is Yukikaze. And there's also her like hot mom and everything, but you know, they don't have an action figure of her. Plenty of sexy waifu figures of Yukikaze's hot mom, but that's not what we're looking at today. Today we're just looking at the action figure for Yukikaze. So right off the bat, Yukikaze has one severe problem. She can't stand up. And unlike Asagi and Sakura, you can see them in the background, see they're standing up normally. So you can see them standing up there. But anyway, she can't stand because of her huge hair. Forgot to mention. So I say in the review that it's not able to stand up properly, but despite that, you actually can get it to stand up. It's just really fucking difficult. So here, you can see she's not like completely straight. I'm not sure how well I can show you. It's kind of like at an angle, but it can be done. She's even standing on top of a book, so it is possible to get her to stand up. It's just keeping her like that is a bit difficult. See? It fucking fell over as soon as I mentioned that. Well, that's unfortunate. But yeah, it can be done. Alright, so the trick is that you kind of need her to be in a very neutral sort of pose, and also leaning over. Kind of like the Super Saiyan 3 Goku trick, where you kind of have to have her hunched over to make it look like she's standing. And I'd say it works. Yeah, so it does work. But, you know, it can easily just fall back down. So there's that. But if you try to put her in any other kind of dynamic pose, it won't work. Due to the fact that the hair is making her a bit top heavy, which is funny, because the other two girls are more top heavy in a different way. But anyway, so, oh my god, these things get in the way too. She's such a weird figure because like all of this stuff kind of gets in the way. Yeah, so what you'd have to do is kind of like balance the weird offset by making her hair do stupid stuff. Oh, I had it! Alright, there you go. Kind of have to offset it with the hair looking ridiculous. See, you can get it to work. And just in case you don't think that she's not just in case you think she's being supported by the wall, she's not. Contrary to what I actually say in the review, she can stand up. Getting her to do really cool poses while standing up, that's a different story. I still recommend you use a figure stand if you want her to do something like super cool. She's not like Sakura where she can just be super flexible and do whatever the hell you want it to do. She's very delicate, and the heavy hair gets in the way of articulation due to the hair like getting in the way of the shoulders and everything, and the arms, especially when you want to move the arms back like for some kind of dynamic pose. But besides that, the hair can also be really dynamic and look cool when you have it on a figure stand. So there's that. God, I just realized I'm adding more to the review. So aesthetically, if this camera can fucking focus. So I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera due to the harsh lighting in this room, but Yukikaze has a beautiful tan, and the separation between her light and dark skin is great. But anyway, let's start from the top. So from the top, they actually got her hair color and everything right. Just like a hint of red right here in the sheen. It's mostly like, but her whole hair color is basically just like a dark brown. But I think it looks great. You can see the muscle, the like, toned muscle, slightly muscle definition right here on the latex. You can kind of see the nipple protruding there. Slight fishnet pattern right here. It's a little kind of not sloppy, but it's a little poorly done. I think it's just kind of basic looking. And then you can see like the red and the white right here, which kind of lines up here. But I think if you, I'm not sure. It looks kind of weird. And then her face and everything looks pretty good. It's just that, like Asagi, it's hard to see the eyebrows. That's typically like how you see them express themselves. Like the eyebrows do a lot of the work. And then of course you can see the arms here. The shoulder joints help the arms stick out a little bit more. They look kind of weird, but I feel like it's meant to be more inward than outward. But anyway. And then of course she has her giant hair, which is split into 3 ways. But we'll talk about that when we get to articulation. I don't like the feathers, like the feather stings on her arm. They feel like they didn't finish them properly. And see, like there should be more like refinement here, or more paint, so that each frill is easier to make out. And then this, I don't know, this could have just used more paint. This feels like they just put the plastic on and then they didn't bother. So it looks a bit weird. And then you can actually see they did a really good job painting the fishnet pattern there. And then there's a slight bleed on the thing right there, but it looks fine. And the red looks pretty good. Black here looks fine. You can see how it's separated there and it looks fine. And then like the different color tone for the glove, open finger gloves, looks fine. There's no like fingernails or anything. She's the only one that has exposed hands. And then like the only other problem I still don't like is this huge diaper piece. But this one's a floating piece, but we'll talk about that later. And then these 2 pegs here are for the skirts, the little skirt things. I'm probably not going to be able to put them on because they're very difficult to put on, but hopefully I can. And then in the back, you can see the separation of the flesh tone. So you can see like the pale skin from her suntan, and then the actual like tan skin. So I think that's pretty good. And even here with the leg joint, you can see the separation. Here, you can see the armor, which again is identical to Asagi and Sakura. Hers aren't pointed though, unlike Sakura. Like she has more like a curved knee pad, kind of like the way Asagi does, so that looks fine. And then this pattern looks fine, but then on this leg, you can kind of see it here. It's like they kind of fucked up here, and then you see this little mess up here. And then there's like a line here. I'm not sure what the fuck happened, but that's not acceptable, especially for a figure that's hard to get and with the price point. But yeah, and then of course I just don't like these like, feather things on the leg. They just don't look good. Not sure what's going on there. And then the feet look identical to Asagi and Sakura. So for aesthetic, I'd say like an 8. Not exactly like Sakura and Asagi, since there's a bit more that they had to do with her, so she's not as simple looking. And in some areas I feel like they didn't do it as well as Asagi and Sakura. Like, they have these really thin, thick lines for the black, for the fishnet, but it looks kind of cheap, like the way Hasbro does with the Spider-Man figures. But overall I think she looks pretty good. It's really fucking hard to show you how good she looks, like skin tone wise, because of the fucking lighting. Well, hopefully I can sprinkle some pictures in between to show you how good she looks. Okay, so now we can talk about articulation. The articulations, the head is basically the same, where it's this long, it's just like, also I forgot to mention this, you can extend the neck on these, ever so slightly. But anyway, ball joint neck thing on a neck hinge thing. can look down pretty far, but the hair does get in the way, which I don't like, but you can get the side to side, which still I think looks a bit weird, especially here like that. Like that head just looks like it's sliding off. The hair has, just like Asagi, has different articulation, so it kind of moves to the side a little bit. This one also moves to the side pretty well, and then this back one doesn't move as much. It's about as far as it goes. So it looks kinda stupid, but you can make it work. But it does get in the way. Okay, so here is the first major change that I don't like for Yukikaze in comparison to Asagi and Sakura. So the shoulder joint and everything, you know, that's all fine. The full rotation and all that, you know, everything's fine. But they did one thing differently that I really don't like. So you know how I showed you in the previous videos, there's a bicep swivel here for Asagi and Sakura. They don't have that on her. Her arms only go like this. They only go like this. Only like this and like that. Which wouldn't be much of a problem if they just included some kind of swivel here on the joint so that she could actually bend her arm in whatever way you want. Alright, so just found out as I was doing some photography to include in the video, I found out that again, that even though I said that the articulation on the arms was limited, and how initially it felt like you couldn't do a whole lot with it. At first it was just like, oh okay, to get the arms up you would have to like curve the armpit part essentially, and then the most you would get is that, and then the only way you would get like some kind of upward bend is to go like this, but that's not straight. You see the problem with that right there? I made a discovery. Funny thing is that every review that I've seen of this figure doesn't mention this, either because they were too afraid to break the figure or didn't want to do it because they didn't know. But I made a discovery. You can move the bicep. Look. So first you go here. Alright, so look. You see this part here? The feather part? Watch this. Look at that. Now the arm can bend forward. So now you can actually get this kind of motion. Anyway, now you can get this. Look. You couldn't get that before. Before it was only like something like this. You couldn't go up straight. Now I figured out how to get the arm to bend properly, and now it does it. The only problem is that let me show you. The only problem is that it severely fucking scratches the paint job. Like look. You see that, right? Look, you see all that black? Like you see the fishnet pattern right there? That's from this. I don't know if that's painted or what. I don't know how they do that, but it's fucking like destroyed once you start moving the plastic, rubbing the two plastics together. So in my opinion, that's really awful design because it's so easy to fucking scratch the paint on it. I was trying to look for it. So yeah, then you get this, you get like the residue or whatever on it, and it's so weird. It's like perfectly on there too, like how does that happen? So yeah, I figured out how to do it, but at the cost of ruining part of the figure. But the thing is that you won't really notice it, since for the most part it'll be hidden by the pieces of plastic. Still though, I don't think it should be that way. Then you just jam it back in, and then there you go. Pretty simple solution there. So yeah, it can bend, and now I can get a more subtle arm position. Let me show you. See, now I can get her to actually touch the chest area, because I mentioned in the review that you couldn't. So I'm not sure how I'm going to like insert this, because for the majority of the review not majority, for a good amount of the review I talk about how the arms are limited with the inability to move the forearms, but now I know that you can, so how do I insert that in? But just to show you on both. Alright, there it is on the other arm. See? Now you can touch both. You still can't really get her to do it with like on both respective sides. You can only do it on the opposite sides. I think that's just because of how the arm on this figure works. Like, it doesn't. Like, you kinda can if you bend this part as much as possible and then move the hair. You can try really hard to get the like self-touching motion, but it's not going to. Maybe if I try and make it a bit more subtle. I could already be doing it, I can't tell. No, but then you see here you risk the peg either coming off or the hand coming off of the peg. So don't do that. Don't be stupid. And have the hand coming off of its peg. Yeah, so now I literally have to take back whatever the hell I say in the initial part of the review, because I just figured out that you can do this. And oh well, the arm just came off. Well, let me give you this gives me a good opportunity to show you how the paint gets messed up. Yeah, look at that. Not as severe as it is on the other one, but look at that. It's pretty bad. So yeah, be careful when you move this. Okay, so as much as I don't want to remove this again after struggling to put it back on, I need to at least show you that removing these feathers actually can improve the articulation. Yeah, so what you do is that you remove the feather thing first, then you line this up. And yeah, it's not the prettiest thing in the world because it's not meant to be inserted like this, but what's the difference? Okay, so here's the joint with the feather, with the little plastic feather thing on. Goes about that far. It's like, oh, okay. That's not bad, I guess. Goes about that far. Now watch what happens when I do this. Look at the difference in the angle. You see, it's at a much more acute angle, so it actually bends slightly more due to not being limited by the plastic. Whereas this one, that's about as far as it goes due to being held back by the plastic feather thing here. I feel like what they could have done probably to help mitigate that is get rid of some of the bicep right here. Like just bend that inward, like just make it a little concave, like the way they do with other action figures, so that you would have room to bend. But I assumed that they couldn't do it because it was too skinny, so they had to sacrifice her flexibility on the arm. Because you see this angle, look at this, minus this, which is much sharper. You can kind of see it night and day. It's kind of hard to show you properly because I don't have the shoulders set the same way, but the gist of it is there. You can see the more tight angle versus having the feather and then not having the feathers on. So I guess I discovered a neat little trick, which again, I don't know if you're supposed to, because one, it scratches the paint, and two, it doesn't look right when you don't have the feathers on. But it seems that you can turn the piece. Whether or not that's intentional, I don't know. Do I care? Only a little bit, because it scratches the paint, so it's kind of a annoyance. So to me, it's an annoyance. And of course, you can T-pose with Yukikaze. Her arms actually go up a little bit more, I think, to compensate. So they go up a bit higher than Asagi and Sakura due to the smaller shoulders. Alright, so for the torso, this is pretty much the same as like Asagi. Goes far well enough. I feel like you should be able to go down more considering she's a lot smaller. And then to the side, not as much as it should, I think. Oh, there we go. There you go, it goes a bit more to the side. And then on this side, again, not as much as it probably should. And then going back, a hell of a lot. I don't know why figures always are able to go to the back pretty far, but not far forward. And then the abdomen, and combine it so that she bends way more to the side, which looks funny. And then this side bends a lot more. That looks good. And then all the way back. Get about this far. Then all the way forward. You get a crazy amount. Like, look at this. It's a pretty good ab crunch. Yeah, so upper body's really good. Alright, so for the legs, this is on a floating piece, so this makes it easier to move the legs around. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing that with Soniko or any of the other future figures, but hopefully they've learned. So the legs go forward like that. Around this much, which I think is still pretty good. And of course, because of the curved ball peg system, you can actually bring the legs down a little bit and then move the floating piece up. So you actually get like a full, or almost full split right here, and then you turn the thigh and then bam, you get a full split. And then you just kind of turn this around, turn over the thigh, and you basically get a split. I think you can do a little bit more, but that's as far as I can get it. Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of this floating piece thing, but you can kind of keep it in place if you keep the legs at certain positions. Yeah, and of course the thigh cut here lets you turn the leg, which I showed. And then you get this double jointed knee here, which is kind of hard to do because of the hair. So you get all this. And I guess because her legs aren't as thick, or maybe it's a little bit smaller, it's a bit easier for her to bend her leg upward compared to Sakura. So you get all that. Oh yeah, and also because of the curve, like I showed with Sakura, and then I think maybe Asagi, or I need to show it again. You have the leg curve all the way up like this. Pretty damn good. So you can do it on both legs. Well, you can get even more range. So you can get something kind of like that. Use that for whatever poses you have in mind. Alright, and then the last thing is that the feet are same ball peg kind of hinge thing here. They don't really turn side to side, so you kind of have to rely on the angles on this thing. But this is the only thing that I think that you should fix. The feet. See, you can't really go side to side. The thing I don't like on Yukikaze is the toes. Toe hinges. See, normally the toe hinge would kind of like just stop flat here. Why did it do this? Why did it go even further down? It makes it impossible to balance. Especially with the hair. And then it goes up like that, which I'm not really sure what there's a point to that. And then same thing here, see? She can't stand up properly, which sucks. Yukikaze comes with all these accessories. She comes with 5 different types of faces. Normal expression, a more pissed off looking expression, kind of concerned, a little something with her eyebrow raised sort of expression, and then like battle, like yelling kind of expression with her looking off to the side, and then her tongue sticking out expression. She also comes with a bunch of hands. She comes with 2 relaxed hands by default, 2 gun holding hands. I put the guns in there because it's a lot easier, and I'd rather them just not slip out. Then you get to like 2 open palm kind of hands, and then 2 peace sign hands, which you know you can use those for. And then it comes with 3 frills, 3 sets of frills that you can put on the side of her hips. One of them I already have on them, and I'm not really planning to take them out. But you can have 2 with the gun holsters, 1 without the guns inside of it, and then 1 with the guns in them. So you can make it look like she took the guns out of them. She also has her huge hair pigtails. You attach her huge pigtails, and then 2 no parts, one in the black baggie and one that's not on the screen because I can't show you until the next part of the review in the not safe for work section. So stay tuned for the end of the video or check the description for the other part. I think I forgot to mention this, but Yukikaze comes with the same figure stand that Sakura and her sister come with, so you know, it's about the same. It's still very glossy and shiny, and this one doesn't really have scratches on it. It just has a bunch of fucking fingerprints. Like you can see it right there, but still has the same range when it comes to like how you can bend it. Yeah, so you can still go like this, still make it go like that. Yeah, so there's all that. Turn it sides. The difference with this one is that it comes with a peg instead. It comes with a peg instead, because Yukikaze has a peg on the back of her body. A bit hard to see, but Yukikaze comes with a peg on the back of her body, and you use this to peg in here. Use that. So I'll show you real quick. It's not super difficult. Kind of doing this at a weird angle. Oh, the hand came off. You leave that in. Leave that in. Kind of just peg it on like that, and there you go. Let me put that hand back on. There you go, and it just stays on like that. I'd suggest if you have a difficult time standing her up, keep her on a figure stand. It's just that, you know, this figure stand's really huge, but you can at least try and get it out of the way so that it's not hindering other figures or hindering her in any kind of way. So yeah, there you go. I think this is pretty funny. You can kind of just do whatever you want. Yeah, and since it's on a peg, you can't really swivel around this part here. You kind of have to move her to turn the whole thing around. But it's kind of fun. Look at this. Oh man, it fucking fell off. Anyway, you know what I mean. So yeah, there you go. What I like the most about these figures is that they're very modular. So especially Yukikaze, there's a lot of parts that are easy to swap out and put on. So these ponytails are fairly easy. You just kind of go like this. Like I said, this figure is very modular, especially Yukikaze, like all of them are, because you have so many swappable things. But like the hair, you can move the hair any way you want. You can have it go all the way up like this. You can move it back like this, or even move it forward, make it look as stupid as you want. And you just gotta be careful because there's the mechanism that holds this together. It comes off easily. You just put the peg back into the hole. And so you kind of have to like hold this down or try and like be careful to when you take this off, because it'll take like the whole damn thing off, and then you have to put it back, which is a bit annoying. But you can make Yukikaze look as silly as you want with her hair. So her hair is kind of ridiculous. Also, for the stand, they recommend that you bend it at a certain angle so that Yukikaze can stand up because she's shorter. Which I guess is thoughtful of them. Take your size into account. Anyway, the hands are really easy to swap out. You just kind of go like this. Okay, so unlike Asagi and Sakura, hers are on a different kind of hinge, where instead of a big peg that sticks out kind of like Figma, she has like the more traditional ball joint thing, kind of like Bandai. So that might make it a bit harder to put the hands on. But let's see. Alright, so unfortunately it takes a bit of force to put those hands on due to those tiny ball pegs, which is the same problem I have with pre-cure figures. But you can't get them on, and once you do, you can do whatever you want. She's doing finger guns right now, but you can easily just slip the accessories on and get the guns and everything to look fine. So let's see how that looks. Oh, and there you go. You can put the guns on and everything. So now Yukikaze can just go guns blazing and shoot whatever she needs to. Which, like, yeah, the arms are limited, but admittedly, like, you'll probably be able to get all the gun poses that you need to. So, yeah, there's that. So, not much to worry about. And since you can have the hands vertically bend over like this, you can have a proper gun holding position, which you normally wouldn't be able to do if you only had like a horizontal hinge. So there you go. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the face plates and everything else. Alright, so to take the faces off is pretty simple. You just take this off and then go like that. Pretty easy. I'll put this one on because I'll put this face on because I like it the most. And you slip this on. And then there you go. Now she looks more pissed, which I think looks kind of funny. Oh god, that looks terrible. I'm bad at posing. Yeah, so you can do that with the guns. Alright, so now I'm not gonna try putting the skirt things off, that's impossible. The Yukikaze figure actually can do a bit more than I initially thought. And I'm happy about that because I was disappointed initially that, oh, it can't bend the arms properly, you can't turn the bicep and blah blah blah. It's more articulated, it's less articulated than Sakura and Asagi. Turns out I was wrong to a degree, but you know, I'm happy that I messed around with the figure like the third or fourth time, and now I know it has these hidden, quote unquote, hidden features. And also, yeah, I put the little frills on the side of her hips. He didn't put them on because they were too difficult to put on. What you have to do is heat them the hell up, either using a hairdryer or using a ton of hot water, and then I was able to get them on. So there's that. So when I first started reviewing the figure, I was giving it an 8 out of 10 compared to Sakura and Asagi. I gave those a 9 because they had better range on the arms and everything. And initially I thought that Yukikaze didn't have bicep swivel, but you know, as you've seen in the video, yeah, she does. So I decided to bump up the score in my head and give her a 9 for articulation because she's not completely hindered like how I initially thought, so I decided to bump up her score. And of course, her accessories are all amazing, so I gotta give her a 9. And if you stick around to the end and you watch the not safe for work / R-rated version of the portion of the video, you'll see why I gotta give her a 9 out of 10, or even perhaps 10 out of 10 for the accessories. But you know, that's not something, you gotta watch the other part if you want to see. But yeah, initially I thought, yeah, 8 or 9, 8.5. Now I'm thinking 8.5 maybe, or 9 for overall. But you know, she still has some issues like the paint not being completely perfect on the mesh patterns, and the paint rubbing off on the feathers when you twist the biceps, and her hair getting in the way, and you know, a whole bunch of other little annoyances, and the hair and things being delicate and not being able to stand up completely still. Like you have to kind of like work around some of the weirdness on the figure. But overall, it's a pretty good figure. I'll give it like I'll still give it like an 8.5 or a 9. I'll say 8.5, I guess, because there's a little too many small annoyances that kind of prevent it from being as good as like Asagi. But I think she makes up for it with her amazing accessories, a ton of facial expressions. I know she has like the same amount as Asagi, which is like 5, I think, 5 total. But I think she makes up for it by being a really fun figure to mess around with. She doesn't have the paint problems on her thighs like Sakura does, because I guess they just left it the same. They didn't paint over it. And her accessories are really good, like I mentioned. I'm gonna keep mentioning it. Like the little hair pigtails, the guns are cool, the little holsters on the frills, and the extra accessories in the not safe for work portion definitely bump her up. I don't know if it's better than Sakura having mega tig bitties, but I'd argue it's a little bit better. Yeah, so Yukikaze is a great figure. I think all 3 of them are worth it, but remember, this isn't going to be the last one, because Yukikaze is the 3rd one, but not the final, because I mentioned in my Ryu Hayabusa, in the video where I talked about the amazing Yamaguchi figures that got announced, that in addition to the Kenshiro figure that I'm still waiting for from Storm Collectibles, and then of course this new Hayabusa that got announced, there's the Taimanin Sonico figure that came out recently, finally, and that's my most anticipated. So once I finally get it in the mail, I'll let you know how good it is, and then I'll do an comprehensive overall comparison, and I'll give you my final thoughts on all 4 of the Taimanin action figures. And hopefully we can look forward to the next set of Second X Hentai action figures, because there is one coming from Asanagi, the artist Asanagi, and it's kind of hard for me to show on screen, but I look forward to that.